Today's deck list is so wild, I don't even know what to call it. Hello folks, Phil Gallagher, aka ThrabenU here for another Legacy video. And today we're going to be helping someone do some testing for Eternal Weekend, one of the largest tournaments coming up at the end of the year. Mo has been working on this deck off and on for quite some time, and they're pretty happy with how it's going, but they feel like it needs a little bit of love still. And while normally I adjust deck lists and then play them when people kind of donate to me for some help, looking at this pile of cards, I don't think I'm going to get it until I play it. So we're going to try to improve it at the end of the league. So we're an Ancient Tomb deck. That much is clear. I'm going to move the sideboard off to the side for a minute. And we are an Ancient Tomb deck with an exceptional amount of mana. Let's just drag this over here real quick. That is 37 mana sources. So we're looking to do something fast in this deck list. And we can play a controlling game with Broadside. That's totally reasonable, where we just fling artifact mana at our opponent's small creatures and face. We can grind out a mid-range plan with Fable. We can just accelerate into cards quickly with the One Ring, or just power out a Minsc Boo and just kind of go. We also just have Ancient Tomb Urza's Saga draws. And we also have some cute things with the Mycosynth Gardens here. So for X mana and tapping the Mycosynth Gardens becomes a copy of target non-token artifact you control with mana value X. So, to illustrate the point, we have in Urza's Saga, it goes to its final stage, we float a mana, we put a Phyrexian Dreadnought into play, we copy it with the Mycosynth Gardens, and we have a permanent 12/12 Trampler now. Maybe we attack with that once, and then maybe we throw it at our opponent's face with Minsc Boo to finish the game. We have a lot of fast mana here, but we do have 3 different colors counting the Swords to Plowshares here. I understand the need for white removal. We live in the Psychic Frog world where red removal like Fury or Lightning Bolt might not be doing it anymore, so I understand wanting to go into another color. The sideboard 4x Karns is kind of wild to me. That can be your silver bullet, maybe for some storm type matchups where shutting off all of the opposing artifact mana very quickly after you have already used your artifact mana can give you a win. You can board these in versus control decks, board out 1 copy of the One Ring, have a ton of access to that. It feels weird looking at it, but Mo's had some decent results, so we'll see how this plays out. We can have 8 removal spells for Psychic Frog, backing up these large cards here. Let's see how this feels. I don't know how it's going to go. With that being said, should you need any cards for this wild deck, please consider checking out my sponsor, TOAMagic.com. Tales of Adventure is an awesome store. If you need some old cards, dual lands, power, they've got them. You need new stuff, they've got 95% of standard in stock as well. Promo code ThrabenU will let you save 5% on your order, and you always get free shipping. Anyway, let's battle. Gotta go fast, I guess. Chrome Mox. Do I have more red or green cards? Red by a lot. We'll imprint our red spirit guide to continue to have access to red mana. Yeah, I think we're just going to jam the One Ring on turn 1. That seems perfectly reasonable. Nice. And I think I'll go ahead and draw the card now. Got protection from everything, so we don't really care about Thoughtseize effects. Alright, that's not exactly what I was looking for. I'm going to deal a lot of damage to myself, so hopefully we end this game quickly. Burn Catacombs. We'll see if this is a blue deck or a non-blue deck. Basic Swamp, Pithing Needle, my One Ring. Ooh. So this is maybe a Dark Depths deck, if I were to guess. The main deck, Pithing Needle, is potentially a 4 of if that is the case. Verdant Catacombs kind of leans in that direction. This could also be, some sort of like oddball Pox style deck list somewhat reasonably. All right, we've got some fast mana from our opponent. Depthsometer, I think, is on track. All right, there's a Vampire Hexmage. There is a Dark Depths. I'm going to take 20 next turn. Don't know that I have outs to that. Well, I mean, that'll do. Do I have Caracas? No. I have Source of Postures. Okay. So, to do my thing and beat that, I need access to white mana. That means Mox Diamond at some point. As much as I love Urza's Saga, I think I am discarding that one so that I have my white mana. The 1, 2, 3, 4. New One Ring. That gives me protection from everything to buy me a turn. I'll keep my new copy of the One Ring and pass. Opponent does not opt to make their 20/20. I lose no life here. Crop rotation. Just double check. No Caracas here. No Caracas here. Did not draw Boseiju either. I have a weird 1-drop. I have Phyrexian Dreadnought. That doesn't get me anywhere. So we are in bluff territory. I got my construct. My opponent should presumably activate Vampire Hexmage right now to play around a Pithing Needle effect. I suspect that they are not focused on playing this game based on their play speed. It's really long time in between priority passes. If my opponent does not play around a Pithing Needle effect, I'm just going to get more mana. I have to represent interaction and just hope that my opponent plays scared. Inquisition. Sure. The jig is up. I'm going to cast a crop rotation in response. All right, so my opponent goes for it. None of this stuff answers a 20/20. I'll pick up an Urza's Saga. And now I just need to rip a Swords of Plowshares off the top of my deck. Shouldn't be too hard. 4 in 47 chance. Easy. Broadside. That does not get there. It's not that far away from getting there, but that does not get there. Yeah, so we had swords and rings as outs there. Ah, we have gotten the response from the opponent. I have no clue what is going on in your deck. Actually, quite scary. So my opponent might just be over there just going, what the fuck is happening? Okay, that's fair. So that's why we got those extra turns, because my opponent had no idea what the fuck to play around, and probably still doesn't. I don't think I'm sideboarding. Other than Veil of Summer, my cards don't really do a ton. I kind of just need to kill my opponent. Yeah, not having a Wasteland or a Caracas is a little rough here. Like, I can do this for discard. This is a matchup where I'd rather just like play a turn 1 Minsc Boo than a turn 1 One Ring. I don't know. Like, that gets me some onboard damage. If things are going my way, I'm tapping out so frequently, though. Is Veil of Summer even actually good? Unclear. 3 mana turn 1. Turn 1 Fable into turn 2 post-combat Minsc Boo. Get some looting in there. I guess that's fine. I don't know that I can just mulligan to having 4 mana on turn 1 every time. Alright, so turn 1 just plays itself here. We Fable. That gives us our mana fixing. It's super important. And the difference between having a Caracas or a Wasteland and not in this matchup is so crazy. Yeah, so this was what I was talking about with Veil of Summer, right? The Veil of Summer, like, if I am tapping out for large cards, I just kind of miss some critical stuff. Mox Opal is not currently online. City of Traders is not particularly great. I am looking for any colored mana here. If I keep City of Traders, it is easier for me to draw like a 1 ring and deploy it immediately. I don't really want the city. I might need to just keep it, though, to hedge against missing the land drop. Well, I do not have my turn 2 Minsc Boo. We just fully missed on any colored mana source in 3 draws. That's very awkward. I can end up doing Urza's Saga stuff, or I can do Minsc Boo next turn with second treasure post-combat. There's a tiny fly buzzing around. If you see any weird movements, that's what's going on. I think I'm going to play this to give myself the option and then pass the turn. Fuck! Double fuck! Oh. So now Minsc Boo is not going to solve my problems here. That is also not going to solve my problems. So this is weird. The out... Oh man, this out is so fucked up. 1, 2, green, red, Minsc Boo. So with this middle ability here, you only draw cards if the sacrificed creature was a hamster. So we sacrifice and try to draw Swords to Plowshares. So that I draw the cards, I can't target this because my opponent can sacrifice it and fizzle that. So this needs to go to face. Then I need to draw Swords to Plowshares. Negative. Dead. Well, that did not work out well. GG's. Today's video is sponsored by Moxfield.com, which is just the best place to keep your online deck lists. And one of the things that I love about them is that you can use it to keep track of what cards you do and don't have for a deck. So for example, in this deck list, I have all of the cards, so there are nice blue bubbles filled in here, and that's automatically ported over to your collection tab, where you can see exactly what cards you do and don't have. So this hand produces a turn 2 Minsc Boo? That's probably fine. I am not going to play Lotus Petal, I don't think. I don't think I want to show that. Sure, that's fine. This crop rotation can end up getting me an Urza Saga if we are playing against a slow blue-white deck. Hey, an Urza Saga. Kind of awkward regarding this City of Traders now. Mycosynth Gardens is also a thing that can happen, but I'm not excited to do that against Swords to Plowshares. So, if a counterspell happens, it is harder for me to cast Minsc Boo than it is the One Ring. This requires me to have a red mana source specifically. Oh, holy fuck. Did not expect that to fucking happen. Plus, go to fucking town. Let's go. Wow, absolutely did not expect that to work. Tamiyo is fine. Well, good turn is good. Show me your swords? Show me your swords or take a billion D? Yeah, that's fine. So, yeah. There's 4th mana. Now I'm going to play the One Ring, get protection from everything, draw a card. Don't mind having another one of those. We'll call it a turn here. You can make an argument that I should play the Urza Saga there. My opponent can generate Tamiyo clues, but those require mana to crack, and I can create a 4/4 haste trampler every turn for the rest of the game until my opponent puts some real power into play. Well, that's good versus the One Ring. Oh, sure. Alright. So, yes, make my friend. Yeah. Having some slight mana trouble here. Why don't we do this? Crop rotation, sacrifice City of Traders, no counterspell from my opponent. Good to know. Let's Mycosynth Gardens, play Urza's Saga as land, cast Phyrexian Dreadnought, copy Phyrexian Dreadnought. I guess we can keep the untapped one. Doesn't matter, it's not going to be here long. Minsc Boo, minus Phyrexian Dreadnought. So this is X damage to any target where X is that creature's power. That is 12. I can send that to the face, or I can send it at Narset and bury my opponent with the One Ring. I'm going to try to bury my opponent with the One Ring. I think it works out well either way. 1 at you. Now I have card draw unlocked. I am at a high life total. My opponent's Tamiyo isn't particularly threatening. I have a backup Minsc Boo. This seems perfectly fine. Tamiyo pluses. Not that big of a deal. I'll lose a little bit of life here. Don't need to make a new one. Sure. Saga ticks up. I guess let's draw now. We've got options. I am presumably usually doing this and attacking here. There is a swords, that's fine. So this can represent another swords to plowshares now. I can just play a new Minsc Boo and fire in at that. I don't know that I need to give up that value. Like, I don't really hate just making an Urza Saga construct token and grinding out that way. Like, I have the One Ring and Minsc Boo and Urza Saga. That's probably more value than my opponent and their Tamiyo can handle. That changes if my opponent, you know, fetches Underground Sea, casts Entomb, reanimates, or whatever. Otherwise, I think, generally speaking, we're doing fine. Yep. There's fetch to clear. And what now? New Tamiyo is not scary. Notably, this is not a May ability. That has to happen. Yeah, okay. So we're playing against a blue-white control deck with Narset. Pyroblasts seem good to clear these Planeswalkers and these Tamiyos. I'm going to max out on those. Vexing Bauble seems reasonable. Arn and Veil of Summer are playable, but maybe not exciting. Generally speaking, against counterspells, I like to take out crop rotations. They are just counterable, and it's really bad value when they get countered. So I'm probably going to junk that. And I am not sure to what extent I get to trim mana in this deck list. Like, the deck really wants to slam a 4-drop quite badly. I could see going down the Mox Opal. That one's pretty situational. Don't know that I can cut any more colored sources if I'm bringing in a pile of Pyroblasts to answer my opponent's cards. I could go down a Swords. Pyroblasts have a similar role. I could also do some Karn for the One Ring tutoring nonsense like I was talking about. I don't know that I'm going to do that here if I feel like I need the Pyroblasts for the Narsets to make my One Rings good. Right? Bringing in 4 cards that tutor for the One Ring when the One Ring sometimes is just going to get shut off is very awkward. This is a keep. We have Force of Will, so that's great. My turn 1 is probably Ancient Tomb, Mox Diamond, discarding Boseiju, and play Fable with Force of Will backup. Kind of. Squint at it sideways, it looks a lot like Force of Will. So if my opponent plays a Tamiyo on turn 1, do I try to kill that? I don't think I try to kill that this aggressively. Ponder's fine, you can have that. The One Ring. Can I do that on turn 1 with backup? Mox Diamond, discard this. 3 mana, 4 mana. If I imprint with Chrome Mox, I can do the One Ring on turn 1 with Force of Will, or with Pyroblast backup. Let's start playing the cards that I know that I am always playing. So always this, then it's harder. I think I'm into just jamming this One Ring with protection. Imprint the Fable. I think I just have to believe in the deck here to do the thing if I draw a whole bunch of cards. Oh shit, it just resolved. That's cool. Alright, do the thing. Pass the turn. Null Rod. Fuck. Yeah, sure, that's fine. That is not a great trade of resources for my opponent. That's a 1-for-1 when I am spiraling the game with the One Ring. Ooh. Like to Pyroblast Narset on the stack? I think so. And I think I have enough stuff to do that I am not playing Urza's Saga. I think we're just going to broadside attack for 2. Why did I do that? In my head, I was like, Fable is better. I was supposed to play this one. Broadside is better next turn when I more consistently throw things. Sure. This is fine. I'd like to hit a bigger Haymaker here. Like, this is where I want to resolve the Minsc Boo style cards. Who will? So there is a Fable. Oh. Well, that was surprisingly easy. I don't feel like I played that one super well. We didn't even have to use our double red Force of Will. All right. Okay. So we're paired against Tony Scaponi, who plays fast combo decks. I don't have anti-combo cards in game 1. I just don't. So I need to try to kill my opponent. And this hand does not kill my opponent fast enough. I don't think Fable does it. I'm going to mulligan this one. Yikes. 1 mana, 2 mana, 2.5 mana, 2 1/3 mana. Nope. 5. 1, 2, 3 mana. This is a 5-card hand. Keep Minsc Boo. And a Chrome Mox. Oh, this is awkward. All right. Okay. When I see Thundering Falls, I tend to think Show and Tell. Nope. All right. My initial gut feeling was correct. This is still going to be Storm. Never didn't have it. So, Mox Diamond. Discard Boseiju. From Mox. Imprint Spirit Guide. Ancient Tomb. Play Minsc Boo. Make Boo. Make Boo strong. Boo smash. So this hits for 7, then 10. This kills my opponent in 2 turns. And I have minimal ability to interact here. So I am expecting to die next turn. Will not make a new friend. I guess I could minus and kill that. Like, this is kind of a real card. Yeah, let's do that. My opponent goes to 12. Sack a dude. Kill Ral. Okay. Mox Diamond. Discard an Ancient Tomb. Think. I'm really unsure whether or not I should play this turn or next turn. I think I'm going to go next turn. Pass. Hope I survive this turn. And then the 1 ring gets me through the following turn cycle. I think that's how I want to play it. Let's see if we're dead. Burning Wish. Rite of Flame. Sure. That bodes well for me then. So, yes. I will go ahead and use this. I don't need this other Fable of the Mirror Breaker. Done. Plus on Boo. Go to combat. Get in for 6. This gives me a little additional mana as well. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Play the 1 ring. Protection from everything. Draw a card. Pass the turn with Urza Saga available. And the ability to draw a bunch of cards, throw things at our opponent. Sure. Hello and good luck. I don't really know how this can win unless my opponent has access to something that could deck me. Sure. These are great cards. We'll see what our opponent can do. Bunch of Burning Wishes. Inspired Tinkering. Sure. Alchemist's Gambit. During that turn, damage can't be prevented. That's oddly specific. Sure. Oh, there's 2 extra turns queued up. And some wishes. This is probably going to be a lot of clicking from here. I'm going to give relevant updates. I see. It's just going to be an empty the Warrens. Sure. I'm going to make a friend. And then I'm just going to have 6. And then we see the extra turn. We're going to block a goblin out of spite. And the damage can't be prevented from the 1 ring. That's slightly frustrating. But we were expecting to lose this matchup anyway, so it's kind of whatever. Okay. Our deck is not great against this style of deck. So I can board in these Karns to shut off some amount of artifact mana. That probably means boarding out the 1 ring to tutor for. And I can do some of this sort of stuff. The Bog probably doesn't do the thing that I want it to do most of the time. It can stop a Past in Flames. If my opponent has Echoes in their deck, it doesn't stop that. We damn near did what we needed to do, but not quite. It's probably fine when I'm on the play. I just have so much fast mana that it's very awkward. And then, like, from here, there's niche, like, Bojuka Bog interactions, niche Pyroblast interactions, niche Veil of Summer interactions, none of which are super exciting. I don't know that I make it a couple of turns to Urza Saga for something like a Grafdigger's Cage. I think I'm going to whack Submit and just try to keep the highest density things that kill my opponent. I'm just not going to out-hate them here. This doesn't really do anything. Ancient Tomb, Mox, Opal, Chrome Mox, imprint this, play Vexing Bauble. Turn 2, I can Minsc Boo. Get rid of the Boseiju to do that. There's a way to get rid of Ruby Medallions. Not like Vexing Bauble is amazing versus my opponent's deck, but I think this is what I've got to work with here. I'm worried about going below this in terms of just hitting my cards a high enough percentage of the time. So I pass here. Yeah, there's a Ruby Medallion. If we had a 7-card hand, I get to Boseiju that, but we didn't, so here we are. That can mess with artifact mana, or I can start trying to kill my opponent. The artifact mana is already messed with via Vexing Bauble. I think I'm going to start trying to kill my opponent. And we'll put 3 counters on our creature. It just does not seem like I have enough resources for this matchup to reasonably expect to win it. Alright, my opponent's doing the thing. There's a Ral. So now every instant and sorcery potentially flips this. Sure. Ral does not flip this time. Opponent chose not to use it. Choosing not to use it again. There's 3 cards remaining over there, but there's so many put 2 cards into exile, be able to play them effects going on that I don't really... Only has 3 flips in a row. Yeah, these sorts of things. There's so many of these sorts of cards that I can't necessarily... Well, I guess it's good that I have 1 card in hand. Finishing that sentence I've started like 3 times. That I can't necessarily count on my opponent's low card count in hand being a deal breaker. There's a Burning Wish. Choosing not to flip Ral. Fiery Confluence, nuking all of my artifacts. Only won an exceptional number of flips this turn. So my opponent now has 8 cards from the top of library. I'm going to assume that that results in a win. I'll give you an end of turn update. Okay, there's a Burning Wish for Past in Flames. There's a Fiery Confluence in Graveyard with a couple of bonus rounds going. I'm just going to concede there. That's fine. GG's. So I'm not exactly in love with how all in this deck is. I believe that it is correct to just do the thing, and it just sucks versus counterspells. But the way that I spiral this game out of control and win versus the widest spread of decks is jamming this on turn 1. Well, it fucking worked this time. But a Force of Will there is rough. Take 4. I don't know, I just feel like I'm bad against a lot of things, as my anecdotal observation thus far. Not making a new friend. So is this a Swords to Plowshares Arid Mesa, or is this a red Arid Mesa? Let's hope it's a red one. Not having crop rotation for protection for my creatures makes me a little sad. Gotten spoiled by playing Talon Gates of Madara in other decks. Yes, that occurs. I still have this giant creature. I think before my opponent takes another draw, I am going to just crop rotation and pick up an Urza's Saga. I have a Mox Diamond for if my opponent slams something like a Stoneforge Mystic, or I guess I can't slam Psychic Frog. Oh, alright. So hopefully I just ride this 1 card to victory. Yes. Another one. Plus, combat, dress down. Sure. This removes my haste, meaning that I can't attack. But my opponent has used this dress down before my Urza Saga tokens have happened. I consider that a massive W. Goodbye. Wonder if my opponent is just playing dress down as a card, or if they are on some sort of Stifle Knot deck. Well, that's happening. I don't think I'm that scared of it, but it's happening. Dunking my token, I will just get another one. And imagine how different this game is if my opponent has the initial Force of Will, and then I lose 2 tokens to this. Ugh. Make a friend. Yeah. And yeah. Mox Opal? I think I'm still plussing here. Okay, my opponent is just done with me. That's fair. So these don't like crop rotation here, I don't think. I don't know how good Swords to Plowshares is. If we are playing against Stifle Knot, they matter quite a bit. I'm probably going to keep them. Pyroblast has a ton of targets, just regardless of exactly what my opponent's build looks like. Like, I don't know if I'm facing down Triumph of St. Catherine's, or Stoneforge Mystics, or Murktide Regents, face the Mind Sculptors. Veil of Summer's not crazy. Vexing Bauble is probably good enough to be played here. Gonna, I think, swap out a Mox Opal. Trim 1 swords? Keep all the swords? Trim 1? It's weird because if I want it, I like really want it. I don't think I am excited about this hand. This feels clunky. Like, I can keep and play a fair Urza Saga game, but my opponent has already shown us main deck dress down. Keep, 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 keep. I'm gonna deal a lot of damage to myself though. Like, holy shit. So the thing that sucks about post sideboard games is my opponent has just a 1 mana card that counters the One Ring, and it's a really big fucking deal. That's what I think this pause is. I still think I'm trying it, but I think this is about to get countered for 1 blue mana. Let's see if I'm right. What? Cool. Yes. Love that for me. What did my opponent keep then? I mean, if they just make a 12/12 this turn, like, I'll know. Okay, yeah, no, the 1-for-1 on the artifact mana after I resolve the One Ring does not feel good for my opponent. Hopefully I do get colored mana though. Then I can deploy Fable before going in on things like Urza Saga. By Fling this activation? Nope, just fetching in response. Okay. Mox Diamond? Discard an Ancient Tomb? We into this? Yeah, I think I'm into this. And Fable? What? Did you go to 5? Am I dealing with a 5-card hand? Yes, I am dealing with a 5-card hand. That's why everything feels so weak. Okay, that makes more sense. All right, take some damage. Pyroblast. I mean, I guess that's cool. I'm going to discard these. That's fine. In case I draw Minsc Boo, I think I do this now. If something like Bowmasters was going to happen, it already would have happened. My conceptual plan here involves probably still just getting rid of the Tamiyo. That was the thing that could change my mind. Yeah, no, that was the thing that could change my mind. I'm probably still getting rid of the Tamiyo, but now there is at least some degree of uncertainty about whether or not it actually happens. Wow, so we are running over blue players who don't have Force of Will, and we're dying to combo decks. Like, drastically different matches here. Well, Jarvis over here had some pre-game actions, so we're having some fun today, apparently. Discard Mycosynth Gardens, Ancient Tomb, and Fable. So, in case you haven't seen this one in a while, lands you control are lands of every basic land type. Each non-land permanent you control is all colors. The general idea here is to play a Scion of Draco that is not easily answered. I would like to just kill Jarvis before he can do the thing. I would love to find like a Minsc Boo to play this turn. This Swords is sometimes great and other times fully dead. It's not going to answer the Scion. I think I'm going to keep it anyway for other creatures and get rid of the other Fable. Well, good news. We have another Fable. Send in for 2. Make my treasure. 18. Then we'll drop a new Fable. I arguably should not play that other land to just loot through it. But I have some big mana plays in my deck. Brainstorm's fine. So weird to see Brainstorm cast off basic planes. Land drop 2. Psychic Frog. That we can answer with a Swords to Plowshares. And I'll probably just do that now. I think I'm okay with attempting that. Yeah. So let's make our friend. I'll loot through, I think, both of these. I have treasure tokens here to be my fixing. It's a little awkward if I draw a Minsc Boo. I can do it post-combat. And that's like fine. Yeah. 2 treasures. Jarvis goes to 15. 1, 2, red, green. Minsc Boo. Yes. Plus do the counters. And we'll see if this is good enough. Mana spent on pondering right now is a little rough. New land drop. There's the Scion of Draco. So this is Hexproof, Lifelink, First Strike, Trample, Vigilance. Lots and lots of keywords here. Not gonna make a new friend. Oseiju who endures. Real good. So I can now Boseiju the Leyline, taking away these abilities. It's a little awkward that this opens up removal if I Minsc Boo minus. I still think I'm going to do it. So yeah, 4 damage will go at the Scion. Ooh, don't have... Well, I guess I could play this. I don't know that I want to. Let's go ahead and just go to combat here. Attack with these two, make some treasures. Opponent goes to 11, and we'll go ahead and just pass the turn. New land, a Murktide Regent, sure. End step, Reflection of Kiki-Jiki. Target, Reflection of Kiki-Jiki. No! My plan. I was going to have so many friends for my turn. Alright, so I will make a new friend. Yes. Cool. Plus on Boo here. Oop, weird moto lag. Okay, that went through. I could now play a new Minsc Boo. Attack with a 7 power creature very reasonably. I could also just do this post-combat. Counterspell's a little worse for me there. I think this is the new one. Nope. Plus counters here. Legendary. I will play a land. I'll make a copy of one of these. Go to Punchies. Send in for Punchies. Make a bunch of mana. We are seeing the chump block. Plus 6, 7, 8 damage. And we'll just keep the hits coming here. This is so much value. Randomly having 4 main deck Boseijus is a hell of a boon here. I don't know what exactly Jarvis can ponder for. A Brainstorm into a Terminus, or a Supreme Verdict doesn't do it. I will not be making a friend. Alright. Okay. GG's. So Pyroblast seems good. That's going to be killing Murktide Regents. So we have 8 1-mana answers to Murktide Regents and Pyroblasts. I could Bojuka Bog. I don't think I'm going to, because I think I'm going to board out the crop rotations, just like I have, I think, every game. I think I've cut Mox Opal most of the time. Veil of Summer is reasonable if I want to try to like play conservatively and like cast a Veil of Summer prior to casting one of these. But it sort of feels like I'm just supposed to shove a large thing and hope that it works. That sort of feels like the play pattern of this deck. I think I want to get ahead of opponents. And having 5 mana to protect my thing isn't necessarily going to happen. This is a really good 2-card hand. I don't know that I keep this one. With 3 Ancient Tombs, I deal so much damage to myself. I have no ability to pivot. I have no ability to remove a leyline. I have removal spells. I don't have the ability to use them. I don't think I am interested in this one. So this is City of Traders, Spirit Guide, Fable on 1. And it's real bad if that doesn't work. The remainder of the hand is quite awkward. Answers Leyline versus is color fixing as removal. Also helps me to play a Minsc Boo if I draw one. Awkward. Awkward, awkward, awkward. Land, pass. I am super happy for that draw. Attempt Fable. We've got a potential counterspell coming. At least looks for it. And we'll see what happens. Psychic Frog, obviously kind of nuts. There it is. So, I'm looting. I'm not the biggest fan of this one. That might be all I'm looting. This is white mana, or if this stuff doesn't go well. I wouldn't mind additional pre-combat red mana. I'm going to get rid of the Urza Saga as well. Kind of what I'm looking for. Yeah, this being a filter land is super awkward here. So I think I am going to combat, declaring attacks, attacking in, making my treasure, seeing if Jarvis blocks. Jarvis does not block. 17. White mana? Swords Psychic Frog with Pyroblast backup? Cool. That was a hyper inefficient use of my mana. I could play post-combat, or like main 2 broadside here. I don't think I'm going to do that. I think I'm just going to hold up a Pyroblast. New Psychic Frog. I will attempt to address that on my own turn here. Nice. We can do the same thing as last time where I attack, see how Jarvis wants to respond, and then swords with backup. Man, the Mycosynth Gardens are so effing awkward. So make my red, play my broadside, go to combat, declare attackers, send in with both of these. See if Jarvis wants to block. No blocks. 14. Broadside. Actually, I don't even know that I want to do that. Weird how precious my mana is right now. I think I'm just going to swords again. Yeah. And pass. Sure. Just a tapped land. That's fine. Beanstalk's fine. Immediate Leyline Binding. Pyroblast does not interact with that, unfortunately. I imagine I'm losing my reflection here. I'm losing the broadside instead. Sure. Phyrexian Dreadnought. This doesn't line up anyway, right? So, like, I play a Dreadnought. Oh, wait, I have Mycosynth Gardens. So, cast Phyrexian Dreadnought, Mycosynth Gardens, target it, make a copy. Now, with this trigger still on the stack, I make a new copy that will have haste. And there we go. So we beat all of our blue decks, and we lost to our combo decks. So, now what? How do we give Mo good advice for tuning this deck list for Eternal Weekend? I think the thing that I'm least sold on is crop rotation. There's some very cute things that you can do where you get rid of your City of Traders with the trigger on stack, where you get rid of Urza's Saga trigger, like final trigger on the stack, and you get decent value in that capacity. But I boarded this out every single round. I didn't really ever want it. It is nice to have additional access to Bojuka Bog, like having 5 copies of Graveyard Hate by only using 2 sideboard slots, not counting the Grafdigger's Cage that also serve as Graveyard Hate. Like, I see the appeal of that, but it sort of feels to me like this is working against the do things fast plan. This is the core power of the deck list, right? Is resolving one of these 2 cards, preferably on turn 1. That's why you're playing, 37, 38 mana sources, something crazy like that. And crop rotation doesn't really contribute to that plan. Like, you can crop rotation for an Ancient Tomb as a +1 mana, and I guess there's something to that. I don't think that came up in the league. The Dreadnoughts are weird. They do things. They certainly do things. Like, we got a hasty Dreadnought out of nowhere to kill Jarvis in that final game. I believe we threw a Dreadnought at another opponent. It is a neat pivot angle, and people aren't going to see that coming. Ultimately, though, when this is a slow land, you really feel that. Like, we definitely had some mana awkwardness in that last game. Did the Mycosynth Gardens ultimately clutch it? Yes, absolutely. I don't think I talked about it, but there was a point in the league where 2 Expo Seijus were going to Legend Rule each other. And, like, if you count that as a disappearing land alongside a disappearing land alongside a disappearing land alongside a land that you sometimes turn into something else, many of these mana sources are going away. Not sure how I feel about that. It feels like if my blue opponents had turn 1 Force of Will, every game is now very hard. Maybe you board all 7 of these in some of the blue matchups accordingly to just make sure that you resolve your stuff. But you don't have that many cards to cut, and so you start going after your mana if you do that, which slows down your ability to just jam ASAP. It also slows down your ability to do 4 mana play plus 1 mana protection play because you have removed some mana to make room for that protection. I would say that if you're going to play this at Eternal Weekend, I would try to do something to address the combo problem. I don't know that Karn the Great Creator is that answer. I talked about wanting that as tutors for the One Ring. I'm not really sold on that now after kind of working on the in and out numbers a little bit. I also don't know if I want my combo answer to be at 4 mana. The combo that we played against, notably Pyroblast and Veil of Summer, both were not particularly strong against them. If you keep crop rotation, a Caracas or a Wasteland, or both, goes a long way towards helping fix the Dark Depths problem. While all-in Dark Depths combo isn't all that common in the metagame right now, there's a decent amount of like landsy, mid-rangey stuff with Elvish Reclaimers. Having the ability to crop rotation for a Wasteland to take out a Gaia's Cradle to vastly slow down your opponent is something as well. I also imagine that this deck gets a little better as you know the lines, you know your Mycosynth Gardens, math, that sort of stuff. You know everything you can do with the Dreadnought. I think that's about where my head is at. And Mo, I hope you found that analysis useful. Everyone else, I hope you enjoyed the video. Need any cards for it? Try it out. TOAMagic.com, promo code ThrabenU, and I hope you all have a wonderful rest of the day. See ya!